All right. So, the past 2 weeks have been AZ Merit, which means we haven't taken any grades for anything because we haven't had any assignments to do. The only thing that would be graded out of those 2 weeks is going to be the assignment for social studies that we did on Friday that I don't think anybody finished. It was planning a short story and writing that story. So if you did not finish that, that's going to be something you need to make sure you get done because it will be a grade. So make sure you do that and get it turned in. You won't have time during social studies. We are going to move on to some other things. So if you need to do it during independent time or when we don't have live lessons, make sure you're working on that. Other than that, there's nothing else that you guys can make up because it's past the 2 weeks of a due date. So if you have zeros on your grades, they're saying a 0 at this point because that's the policy, has been for the whole semester. So if you weren't able to make those up, sorry, it's a little late now. But you can do that one social studies assignment and make sure you get that done. Other than that, I don't think we have any announcements. Things this week are graded though. Just because AZ Merit is over does not mean that your grades stop. So we have a regular week of work. There is no school on Friday, but we will have stuff Monday through Thursday. And if you, Monday through Thursday this week. So we'll go ahead and get started on our ELA for the next 2 days. We're going to read some poetry today, and then you guys will do the text questions on them tomorrow. So today will be kind of a shorter one because there's not a lot of poetry to read and not a lot of questions to do about it because you're going to do most of the questions tomorrow. All right, so let's head over to Google Classroom, and you guys should have that poetry collection assignment. If you click on that and open it up and head to Savvis, we'll get started on it. I think they did. Savvis looks a little bit different.
I think it's the black thing. Yeah, they might have made it turn black. No, it's been black all the time. I feel like they put more work in there. Yeah, they did change it up a little bit. I know, it doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. It looks a little bit different, but it still works the same. So let's go ahead and get our poems opened up. So poetry collection. Alex, you have it. Okay. All right, there is the thing. They make it so little, like I can't get to the read aloud part.
Mine isn't like that. Mine is where you can play and all that. And you change the screen.
Well, there we go. Someone turn your microphone off. Okay, so this reading is only 1 minute and 49 seconds, and part of that is going over the background. So it's super quick. I'm gonna give you guys about 30 more seconds to make sure you are there, and we will kind of get going on it. It'll go pretty quick today.
Are we gonna finish the whole section today? No.
Yeah, because it's 1 minute 49 reading. So we'll have plenty of time. It does look much different. So I do think that there was some updates. Yeah, but it looks like we're all good, ready to go. So I'm going to start by playing the background and reading about the author. There are 2 poems in this. The first one is called All watched over by machines of loving grace. I've never read these poems, by the way. The other one is Sonnet without Salmon by Sherman Alexie. So we are going to read those. And we'll do just the making meaning part. We're not going to do effective expression. So, nice and quick today. Let's go ahead and get started with the backgrounds. If you're online, this might be loud. I'm going to play it in 3, 2, 1.
All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace by Richard Braunigan. Poetry. Background. This poem first appeared in a collection also titled All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace, published in 1967. At the time, people were just becoming aware of the rapid advances of technology and its possible harmful effects on society. Meet the poet. Richard Braunigan, born 1935, died 1984, was an American author and poet whose works include 11 novels, 10 books of poetry, numerous nonfiction pieces, and 1 collection of short stories. Considered a fixture of the late 1960s and early 1970s, Braunigan's work influenced a generation and continues to be popular today. His works have been translated into more than 12 languages. All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace.
Oh, they're going to read it.
By Richard Braunigan. I like to...
Okay, so they're going to read it now. It's a little bit different with the poetry. Yeah. Also, oh, the other one's down there. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, it's a little bit longer than 1:49 because then we have the other one right down here. If I could get it to... There we go. Got it. Okay. So we're going to read the first poem first. All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. It was by Richard Braunigan. He died a while ago. He didn't live very long either. But he wrote a lot of novels and books, poetry books and nonfiction, short stories, things like that. So he was very, pretty well-known writer. He wrote a lot of things. So here we go.
And the sooner the better, of a cybernetic meadow where mammals and computers live together in mutually programming harmony, like pure water touching clear sky. I like to think, right now please, of a cybernetic forest filled with pines and electronics, where deer stroll peacefully past computers as if they were flowers with spinning blossoms. I like to think it has to be of a cybernetic ecology, where we are free of our labors and joined back to nature, returned to our mammal brothers and sisters, and all watched over by machines of loving grace.
It did not rhyme. Do poems have to rhyme?
No.
Not necessarily. Let's do a couple of the vocabulary words over here, right? So it says, I like to think of a cybernetic meadow. Cybernetic means it's something related to science and the cyber world, right? So he's thinking of it as like a scientific machine meadow, kind of, right? Where mammals, what's a mammal? Yeah, a warm-blooded animal. Humans are mammals.
I'm warm-blooded.
Yes, because you're a human. Dogs, cats, things like that, right? Oh, hang on. This is Miss Jones. She's not here today. Yeah, sorry. Nope, you're good. She's not here. Okay. All right. So a cybernetic meadow where mammals and computers live together. So forever and ever. So basically, like the concept of technology and animals and humans living together in harmony, which we kind of do now a little bit, right? This was written in the 60s when technology wasn't as big as it is now. What's the other one? There it is. Ecology. Cybernetic ecology. Relationships between groups of living things and their environment is what ecology is. So cybernetic ecology would be how machines and humans and things live together. Okay. So that is that first poem. Hopefully you understood a little bit of it. If not, we'll do a couple of things together on it. The next one is Sonnet without Salmon. First it's going to go over the background and the author, and then it will read it. So here we go. It's Sonnet. Nice try, though. We're going to go for it in 3, 2, 1.
Sonnet Without Salmon by Sherman Alexie. Poetry. Background. Dams are structures that are built across a river or stream to stop water from flowing. Dams are used to increase the amount of water available for generating hydroelectric power, or electricity. However, dams are also the cause of environmental concerns because they change the shape of rivers and can block the migratory patterns of fish, such as salmon. Meet the poet. Sherman Alexie, born 1966, grew up on the Spokane Indian Reservation in Washington State. As a child, Alexie suffered from seizures and spent much of his time in bed reading. After college, his career as a writer took off. Since then, Alexie has won numerous awards for his novels, stories, screenplays, and poems, including a Penn Hemingway Award and the National Book Award.
So, Sherman Alexie he's still alive. So in 66, he's probably like 50-something. Yeah, my dad was born in 1966, so he's about 55. Yeah. What was I going to say? The background, sorry, has to do with dams. They build these, right, to stop water from flowing, but it does affect the natural living systems of the fish in those rivers, right? The big thing about salmon, the fish, not the color, is that they migrate from like one place to another. Usually they go upstream, and that's where they lay their eggs, and then they are born, and then they swim back downstream and migrate again. Yoshi? Yeah, goose migrate, yep. And so do salmons. Salmon? I don't know. Anyway. But if there's a dam in the way, like if they go downstream one spring or what, I don't know their timelines, but let's say they go downstream in spring, and then all of a sudden humans decide to build a dam in the way of them going back up, it ruins their migration pattern. So this poem's kind of about that, okay? And then Sherman Alexie, the author of it, he grew up on, they said it as Spokane, but I'm from Washington and we call it Spokane, so I don't know. He grew up on the Spokane Indian Reservation, and he read a lot, so he got really into reading and writing, I'm assuming, and has won a lot of awards for his writings, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and read this one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Sonnet Without Salmon by Sherman Alexie. 1. The river is empty. 2. Empty of salmon, I mean. 3. But if you were talking to my grandmother, she would say the water doesn't matter if the salmon are gone. 4. She never said that. I just did. But I'm giving her those words as a gesture of love. 5. She's been gone for 31 years. 6. The water doesn't matter if my grandmother is gone. 7. She swam wearing all of her clothes, even her shoes. 8. I don't know if that was a tribal thing to do, or if she was just eccentric. 9. Has anybody ever said that dam building is an act of war against Indians? 10. And yet, we need the electricity too. 11. My mother says the reservation needs a new electrical grid because of all the brown and blackouts. 12. Why so many power outages? I ask her. 13. All the computers, she says. 14. Today, in Seattle, I watched a cute couple at the next table whispering to their cell phones instead of to each other. But chivalrous he walked to the self-service coffee bar to get her a cup.
Lovely, I thought. She was busy on her phone while he was 10 feet away. When he sat back down, she said, "Oh, I was texting you to tell you to get me sugar and cream."
All right. There's that poem. Kind of all over the place, honestly. It goes from rivers to technology, like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about the couple of vocabulary words. The first one is eccentric. She was just eccentric. Have you guys ever heard that word? Eccentric just kind of means you're out there. You have, yeah, honestly, when people are kind of crazy, people will try to be nice and say, oh, they're just eccentric, right? So maybe she was just a little bit strange, did some weird things every once in a while. But it's not a bad thing to be eccentric. Okay. The next one is on, has anybody ever said that dam building is an act of war against Indians? This one is about the war against Indians. So many Native American nations have fishing rights in their reservations. Those fishing rights have been reserved for the tribes by treaties that can be seen as broken by the construction of dams. So there are not different, but there are laws that you need to follow on reservations, right? Those of you that have been out to the reservation, aren't there a couple of different things that you have to follow? No? Well, there are. It depends on the reservation, though. But in this case, most Native American reservations have laws about their fishing and what you can and can't do in terms of building a dam, especially across that land. Or in recent news, a pipeline in South Dakota and North Dakota, right? They're trying to build that pipeline through Native American reservations, and there's a lot of protests against that because it goes directly in between their reservation, which they don't want, which is understandable. So there's a lot of things that the government will do that is not awesome to Native Americans. So I don't really know how that connects to the end of it, though, where they're talking about getting cream and sugar for coffee, but it does. This last word, chivalrous, we talked about on Friday. What does it mean to be chivalrous? Alex? What is it? Manners. Respect. Yeah. To be respectful. Yeah. About the knights and the code of chivalry. To be nice and have manners, open the door for people, things like that, right? So that's our two poems. Let's go ahead and go over to making meaning and fill some of these charts out. So let's start under making meaning with the first read. Okay, so go ahead and open up that chart. The title is Poetry Collection. We're not going to write both of them. Okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and do the first two boxes. The first one is notice. The second one is annotate. So for notice, I want you guys to do it for both poems. What was the title of the first one? Okay, so I'm just going to say all watched over. So for that one, you need to talk about who or what is speaking and describe whether it is a single moment or a full story. So it doesn't have to be full sentences. Just tell me who is speaking and if it was a story or a single moment. And then you also need to do the same for, I'm going to call it Salmon. That's the second one. So who was speaking and was it describing a story or a single moment? So you'll do that for both of those poems. Just do your best. It doesn't need to be long sentences, just a couple of words on those. And then for annotating, highlight one thing in each story, please. Highlight one important detail in each poem. Okay, so I'll give you guys a few minutes on that one.
Have you seen salmon before? No. Yeah, it's a immigration farm. You caught salmon? No. want to try to eat. I want to. Yes, thank you.
Okay, you working on the chart, please. Grab your computer and your charger and headphones. You have to take the test that you missed, but they already started, so I don't know if you'll be able to take it now. So, grab your stuff on the phone, see. Why is no one answering? Hey, it's Miss Jones. Kaylee and David just got here and she needs to do a makeup test. Did they already start? No, but I can look it. Okay, will do. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Got her phone too. Okay, let's do the next part. Scroll down a little bit to the connection. So the connecting is how can you connect to these poems? Let's do one connection per poem. So connect to the first poem and connect to the second one. And then the last one, 1 to 2 sentences to summarize each poem. So a short summary for the first poem and a short summary for the second one. So they don't have to be long, just quick, nice and quick ones. So go ahead and work on those for just a few minutes there. All right, so be working on those, please. Couple minutes. We'll do about 2 more minutes and then we'll look at the next part. So. So 2 connections and then a sentence summary for each poem.
The other day, I saw an Iowa City trailer. That's cool. Yeah, one of the neighborhoods in there. Iowa City trailer. Iowa City. Yeah. Like, did it come from Iowa? Yeah, I mean, it's a label. Iowa City. And like, something like RV. No, it's in my picture. Oh. I go, never originated in Iowa. Can I watch? It says right in front of me. Yeah, bro. It's in full color.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to Iowa anymore. I think we're gonna end up in Ohio.
Ohio? I'm still in Columbus, Ohio.
So we're gonna go to Cincinnati.
You gotta go to Cincinnati Bengals or not? No, Cincinnati Red. I know. Alex is good.
Neither of us like baseball.
You don't?
No, I bet I go watch softball.
What's the difference? What about football?
What's the
difference between baseball and softball? I wonder why there's like pitching and some ball and types and bats and the side of the outfield. South Carolina, anything. North Carolina, I wonder why there's.
But they have the same points.
No, they don't. Well, yeah, they have like 20 games, but they don't. Carolina one, but they don't have the games that.
All right, guys, take a seat, please. Okay. Let's finish this up. So let's go ahead and close the first read chart. And we can close the first read section. We're going to work on close read the text. We're only going to do 2 parts of this chart. So let's go ahead and open this one up. So close read, poetry collection is the title, right? So go ahead and write that.
Are we skipping the quick write?
Nope. Okay. We'll get there. Wait. So let's start with close read to the text on the left over here. We're gonna start. We're just gonna ask questions. We're not gonna do any conclusions. So for what was it called? All wanted? No. All watched. All watched over. Okay, so all watched over. Let's come up with a few questions about that poem. Any questions you have? I have questions about it. Any questions that you guys have about this poem?
Why is he talking about cyborg metals?
Why is he talking about cybernetic? You're right. Yeah.
Metals are nature, and cyborg is man-made. Nature is man-made.
Yeah, no, you are correct. Why is he talking about cybernetic metals when cyber is technology, but metals are nature?
Like you want fake, right? Fake technology, bro.
Maybe, yeah.
I guarantee you some of it.
Okay. What's another question you guys have about this poem?
Why doesn't it rhyme?
Why doesn't it rhyme? All right, let's do one more question we might have about this poem. No, about the. One more question. What else do we got about this?
Why does he think technology can live with animals?
Okay, why does he think? Okay, So why does he think that technology can live with animals or go with animals, right? Because this was the 1960s. There was not a lot of technology back then. So, all right. I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to get that one typed out, and then we will do some questions about the Salmon poem.
I have a question from Sherman's poem.
Okay, hold on to it until
Okay.
we'll go about 30 seconds, and then we'll go over them. All right, let's do it.
Why does his grandmother just remove all her football?
She just jumps.
So
Not- okay.
Why did
Why? Okay, yeah, I was like, how is pretty easy to answer, but why? Why does,
say how?
yeah, why does the grandmother jump in the river with her clothes on? Charlie?
Why does it randomly change from salmon to two random people texting?
Okay. So why does the poem
I'm gonna say, why does it
go from salmon to two people texting?
One of my keys isn't working.
I don't know how to fix. I don't know how to fix that. I'm sorry.
Try pushing it harder, like actually pushing it down.
Well, don't break it though.
Just tapping on it.
You just might need to turn your computer off and on, and maybe that'll help.
That's what happens in my attitude. If I just like tap on it, it won't work. But I have to like push it down. That's why I just tap on it like this.
Yeah.
That's all the issues.
Okay, one last question. What else? What other questions do we have? Bradford, didn't you say one earlier? No?
Didn't you have one earlier?
Anybody else? One more question about the salmon poem.
It does work now. For you. Why does he want to share all his ideas in one poem? Why do you want it in one poem?
What?
Why does he want to share like 3 different things in one poem?
Okay. So why does he talk about so much in one poem? There's a lot that he talks about in that poem, that's for sure. All right, I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to type those out. We are going to skip the next section over there, so you can type that if you would like to. I popped my knuckle, sorry.
After we read everything.
All right. So yeah, bottom one. It says identify, it's called quick write. Identify an aspect of the poem that grabbed your interest. Explain the power of this idea. So basically, in either of the poems, it doesn't matter which one. So choose one thing you found interesting, and tell me why. Let's do 3 to 5 sentences there. Okay, so one thing in either poem that you found interesting, and then explain why you found it interesting, and write between 3 to 5 sentences, please. So, and that's all we're doing in this for today. You guys will do an assignment attached to these poems tomorrow. Okay. But that is all we are working on today. I'm going to stop the recording, but leave this up for you guys to get written down.